Good evening and welcome to Stupid O'Clock News. I'm Lewis Lee, proud to be an American. The historic mission is nearly over. On May 30th, astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley made history as they lifted off in the first crew-carrying space capsule made by SpaceX. Then they made history by docking with the International Space Station. Now, after spending 2 months aboard the ISS, Bob and Doug are heading back to Earth. Earlier this evening, the Crew Dragon capsule and service module undocked from the ISS and began a 19-hour orbit leading to a deorbit burn and splash landing in the Gulf of Mexico near Pensacola, Florida. And by the way, this will be the first time that American astronauts have splash landed in 45 years. Russians land on land, and a space shuttle used to land like an airplane. So, first splash landing in 45 years. Weather is still a question for the landing because of tropical disturbance churning on the east side of the Sunshine State. The decision will be made 5 hours prior to a deorbit burn. If conditions are deemed unsuitable, the capsule can support the astronauts for at least 3 days, and they can continue to orbit until the weather conditions improve. That is the news. Back to you.
Hey, thanks, Lewis. Good information. I got a little update for you. They, as of about 5-10 minutes ago, they called it a night and they are going to bed.
All right. Well,
so
sweet dreams, and hope they wake up to a good weather report.
Yeah. And I just hope I know how Elon is. Elon's actually going to be on board the recovery ship.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're being recovered by a private ship as well?
Yes.
The Navy's not doing it?
No, it's their boat. It's neat. You know how used to they would hook the capsule? Well, they would get the guys out with the helicopter.
Yeah.
And then send the helicopter and fly the capsule back. No, they zip this thing up, and if the guys give them the thumbs up on the inside, they ride the capsule till the boat gets there, because the boat's only 2 or 3 miles away. The boat has this arm that swings down, picks up the capsule, sets it on, and they are sitting on the deck when they pop the hatch.
Okay.
So we'll bring in our resident science fiction author, Dan.
Good evening.
How you doing tonight, Dan?
I'm doing just fine. You haven't posted the link in Stupid O'Clock yet.
It should. It automatically does.
I've reloaded about 3 times.
There's John. Hey, John.
I mean, the astronauts didn't stay up to watch our show. I'm so disappointed.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they were threatened with having to watch our show, so they decided they were going to go to the dark side.
You can either go to sleep or watch the show.
And we're bringing Skunk in. No, actually, they had an issue doing an update on one of the iPads, and the iPad wouldn't configure. It was saying, you're not connected to the internet.
Actually, while I was watching, the entire world got to see Bob's code to activate his cell phone.
Everybody knows his password now.
Everybody knows his unlock code now.
For his cell phone?
There's some kid in China flying the capsule right now.
No. This is just his personal. They're going through a checklist and all this other stuff. He pulls out the cell phone, opens it up, and then parks it, filming the control panel from his cell phone floating in 0G, or technically microgravity.
Heather's saying Go Navigator will be the boat that picks them up. And we got James Arthur Ward with us tonight.
Hey!
James, welcome.
Hey,
You'll like James. He's a furry. Sort of.
Hey, James.
James was the guy that got me to. James was the guy that got me to go to my first convention.
There you go.
That's how I met all of y'all, was because of James Ward. He told me
it's his fault.
Yes, he told me that he was
You can blame him.
He's doing this thing he was doing this thing at a convention, and I was like, "Oh, you're going to a fur convention?" He's like, No. It's a little sci-fi convention over in East Ridge." He said he's going to it, and just stop by and say hi. I said, "Okay." And I figured the guy get there real early, help him unload or whatever. And I thought conventions. I didn't know anything. I thought conventions were Saturday and Sunday, so I figured he'd be loading in on Saturday, loading out on Sunday. And they get there, he's already done. It's like 9 a.m. And he's just, "Right, Cookie? What?" I'm like, "Nothing to unload." He's like, "Yeah, well, I already got everything yesterday. The convention started yesterday." I was like, okay. So then I just sat there and talked with him for a while. It was BSing. People were walking by. Who the hell's this kid? Right? "Oh, this is my friend Skunk. Like, he's just hanging out, And just I was just getting constant weird stares and looks. And then it was one of the Amy's. I don't remember exactly which one it was. Came around the corner and saw me and was just like, "Who's that?" And then she wanted to pull me away from him. And then it was just so it was a combination of him and like a gaggle of girls that just wanted to hang out with me, because back then I was good looking.
What happened?
He got old.
I got old.
Now, I'm here to tell you, James is also one of the most fantastically inventive steampunk makers that I have ever met in my life.
I also want to say something real quick. Yeah, I got old, but so did they. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got news for you.
We started first.
I got news for you. They all got old.
Yeah. I was talking about the girls.
There you go.
Dan, I think the cleverest thing I've ever seen him do was he had a bunch of gears and cogs on like a hat or something. And I was wow, those are little tiny ones. I was like, wow, those are really tiny little. He's like, yeah, I got them out of the VCR. Like a VCR. It's little gears that they have for moving the tape in and out. They just painted them gold.
James, he used to come to the early days of Anachrocon.
He did.
And he had a backpack, which was, in essence, a steam engine with the fire going and smoke coming out the top and everything else, little gears going along the side. Not sure whether it had the little weather vane thing going on or not, but I think he was trying to do that.
Guess what?
But, yes.
Guess what? I'm going to hit a button.
Oh.
Hi, James.
Hey, James.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
Now, we're on YouTube, so we have to sort of watch our grown-up language.
James isn't usually one for that kind of language.
Well,
adult situations and stories, on the other hand, James.
Hang on a second. I got to turn
the Army guy and the Navy guy just looked nervous. Like,
I got to turn off the.
Nope. No foul language.
So, Lewis, how was your week?
Good. Finished up the project with Jed and
Okay.
Okay, hang on a second here. Let me.
So you're working with Jed?
Well, I mean,
Okay, that does it.
over TBFCU now, and they needed some videos done. They are highlighting minority-owned businesses in August and wanted to highlight 6 of their customers. And apparently, the videos went over so well with the marketing department. Now they want to do something in October for female-owned businesses. I'm like, shoot, let's do it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I always liked Jed. He was nice.
He is a bundle of energy.
Oh, isn't he though?
He brought to our editing session the other day, he brought a little packet of barbecue honey roasted pistachio kernels. Okay. Yeah. And a Coke. And I said, well, thanks. I'll have to try these. He says, try them. I said, I've actually never eaten a pistachio nut before.
Give me just a second.
I'm happy with peanuts and cashews. And so he was absolutely shocked that I had never tried a pistachio. So I opened up the packet and I tried a couple of them, and I'm like, not bad, maybe not my thing. And he was astonished. He's like, well, maybe it was because it was the barbecue flavor. He says, you got to try some plain pistachio. It's like he owned stock in the pistachio farm or something. So the very next day, no, 2 days later,
There we go. I had to put a shirt on.
and he has mailed me a package of plain pistachio nuts.
They come from China.
Hey,
No, they were local.
James being on the show, Joe, has caused an effect. I just got a message on Discord from another furry who says he's tuned in.
Okay,
that?
well, welcome.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Dizzy.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Dizzy.
Busy.
Hey. So, now, since you actually work with Jed, and I mean, if Jed actually tunes in or watches this or whatever,
I doubt
I've heard, well, he may pick up a replay.
Hey, we may get famous.
Yeah. The big question is, I've heard Jed described as an over-caffeinated squirrel on Red Bull.
I could see where some people would make that correlation. No, the guy is a bundle of energy. I've never seen him in a bad mood. It's spooky. I've worked with him. I've been with the guy at 3:30 in the morning preparing for a morning show. The guy is just never in a bad mood. He's got this positive energy, this positive attitude that's kind of infectious. I mean, it's kind of hard to get upset with him, even though he's working you to death. But we're always putting out a really good product, and he brings out the best in everybody that he works with. So,
When my sister was working with him, she's kind of like that. And you get the two of them together. And have you ever done that thing where you put two magnets on a smooth and get them closer and closer together, and all of a sudden they go snap?
Yeah,
that's them.
Mm. But if the polarity's wrong, you get them closer and closer, and they go ping.
So, I've met Cindy Sexton. She's come into the video store that I worked at all the time. Like her daughter would come in and just rent like movies. Like every week they were in there. She was really nice. And my sister's met Paul Barris because she used to be the vet office that she used to work at was the one that Paul went to all the time. So met a lot of the Channel 3 staff. They're all really nice people.
Yeah. Well, Cindy Sexton is Bitchin' Betty. Does anybody know what or who Bitchin' Betty is?
I do. I didn't know. She didn't do that, did she?
She's the voice of Bitchin' Betty.
Which one?
And she was working on the F-14 and the F-15, I believe.
You're kidding.
And she was working.
Now I know what you're talking about.
When she was working in Huntsville at the TV station there, with Bill Markham, by the way, she got a call from the military, and they needed somebody to voice the in-cockpit
Pull up.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's the voice of Pull Up.
Yeah. Terrain. Pull up.
Terrain.
Yeah. And
Too slow.
Fighter jocks nicknamed her Bitchin' Betty because whenever you heard
the
her,
only time you heard the voice, you were doing something wrong.
Yeah. And so she told me the story of how she got that gig and what her moniker was.
I did not. I knew there was a voice. I never knew it was Cindy Sexton.
Yeah, I never knew it was her. I knew the voice because the same voice clips they're used in the airplanes are used in the flight simulators as well. Mm-hmm. And I played enough flight simulators to know that pull up.
I wonder if she gets money from that.
No, she was paid one flat fee for the gig, no residuals.
Well, no. What about the flight simulator games?
I guess they just bought the sound files from the military.
Oh,
I could have used that in
the game producers may have just imitated it.
That's possible, yeah, but it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah,
I will say this: like all the ATA stuff is I mean, the guys who do that are former Air Force pilots and stuff have talked about it. Like, it's exactly the same voice to them. Like, they hear it, and it's like, it triggers memories.
Yeah.
They'll be sitting there in their chair, all of a sudden they'll grab a button or a stick. Yeah.
I could have used something like that in one of the flight sims I used to fly an awful lot. I mean,
So
something like, oh, nice landing. Next time, try dropping the landing gear first.
Well, in the flight simulators, all the flight simulators I ever played always had that. It was pull up and over speed and all that stuff, and it was really annoying. But you couldn't turn it off, which is just like in a real airplane. So
Yeah, you really don't want to turn it off.
Too slow.
Remember the
Too
old
slow.
cars that had the little female voice that says "door ajar"?
Yeah.
Door.
The
A
door is a joke.
You know, when cars first started putting that voice in there, a friend of mine said, "I'll never ever get one of those cars." I said, why? He says, "Man, I'll get in it drunk one night and have an argument with my car."
The door is a jar. I know it's a jar. I'm just getting my smokes. Leave me alone. The door. Shut up.
It's not a jar. It's a door.
it's a door.
It's a door.
What that someone said they wanted Samuel Jackson as a GPS voice.
Oh, yeah.
I won't go through what some of the ideas.
No,
I can just about hear that. Turn left.
Yeah.
Remember after RoboCop came out, right? It was a thing for a while where you could get the basically the Ed 209 version of the car alarm. Rather than honking the horn or making weird siren noises or anything like that, it would do the "Please step away from the vehicle. You have 10 seconds to comply."
okay.
And after 10 seconds, it wouldn't do anything. It just would repeat itself. So it didn't deter anybody, but it would freak people out at first because they would hear the voice. What the?
Used to have at
You know,
home
they
a
make
long time ago.
limousines. They make
Was
armored
a-
limousines.
Do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. They make armored limousines with like
Yes.
flamethrowers under the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted one of those. Just
It would sure take a lot of fun out of the people standing in the middle of the road messing with your car. Flip that switch.
12-foot flames come off either side of your car.
You watch them scatter. Anyway, back in the day, I had a robot. One of my first robots I ever owned was a Heathkit Hero, and it
I
had
remember Hero. You brought him to the con.
I brought him to the con a couple times, and I took him to Dragon Con in Atlanta, and the board people dressed up like the board tried to carry him off and all this kind of stuff. But it had a voice that sounded like somewhere between the voices on aircraft and on cars to Stephen Hawkins, something in between those two, and it sang Daisy, but it sounded like 2010 singing Daisy, or it was found that at a flea market of all places.
I can remember, was it Service Merchandise? I think it was, had them. Yes, I'm that old.
That's another throwback. Wow.
Yeah. I remember the last thing my family ever bought from a Service Merchandise. We bought a CD-ROM for the computer when they first came out, and it came with 50 programs on CDs.
Hmm.
And it was something that, like, if you had this was new technology. Nobody else had this. None of my friends had this. I'd like to believe that they were jealous, but they just, of course, assumed I was a big nerd because it's what I was. What was really awesome was that there were a few games that came with it too, which I was really super excited about. Some of which I didn't understand why they were on CD. Like, there was one game called Shadow President that had no business being on CD. There was no motion video or music or anything that went with it. It was a really simple program. You could have put that on a floppy disk. I didn't understand why it had to be on a CD. But the other games that were on there was like, help me out on the designation of the airplane, the Tomcat.
F-14.
F-14 Tomcat was one of the games. And that was a lot of fun to fly around in. And it also had Return to Zork and Cyclones. And those were really good. The Zork one especially, because I love Zork.
F-15 Strike Eagle. I used to play the heck out of that one. Microprose.
Anytime, baby.
Everybody remember PC Magazine and how they would have the CD-ROM inside the magazine, and it had all kind of shareware crap programs on there.
Yep.
Shovelware. They used to have one called Lodestar for the Commodore 64.
Hang on a second. I'm going to scare everybody if I can find it.
Don't
I've got
AOL install disk.
I was about to say, he's going to pull out an AOL disk.
Give me one second. I
Lynetta?
got to run off screen.
Hang on a second. I want to thank Lynetta.
Yeah, hey, wait, hey. Well, I was going to tell him if he.
Top value. I used to collect Top Value stamps.
Well, you know, they used to have the S&H green stamp. I think it was S&H that was over in front of Memorial Hospital. Where you could go to redeem the
S&H
stamp.
green stamps.
And then I was sitting here the other day trying to remember the name of the other company that did stamps. Top Value. Thank you, Lynetta.
Top values were yellow and red, right?
Right. And S&H were the greens and green and red.
Top Value was a
Green and
gold
white.
stamp, was a gold stamp with a red value.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now over there on, I guess it would be Bailey Avenue, right across from the cemetery. There's a place that says they're like a meeting place now. It looks like it used to be a store. You know where I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Not the Soul Train Club, is it?
No. It's on
Yes,
Bailey
I'm that
Avenue.
old.
Well, say you're coming from town out Bailey Avenue. After you cross the bridge, the Bailey Avenue Bridge, it'd be right there on the left. That used to be the S&H store.
Okay.
Then-
I'm going to
then-
scare you now.
Uh-oh.
Especially Mr. Lee there.
Mm-hmm. Diagnostic.
TRS-80
Radio check.
Radio
I
Shack.
had a Trash 80.
Yeah.
Your computer was a Trash 80.
Watch out who you say that to, because if you say Trash 80 in front of Mark Ormond or Jeff Wormsley, they'll take you out.
That's a term of endearment.
I tried to explain that to them, but they were like, "There's nothing trash about the Radio Shack TRS-80."
Hey, I missed
Okay.
Radio Shack like
I've had a Model 1, I've had a Model 2, and I've had a Coco 3. As a matter of fact, that was Coco 3 was my first ever computer with a little cartridge in the side. I even got a 5.25-inch floppy drive to plug into the darn thing, and I was running OS 2 on it, which was weird enough. I hated the print.
My turn to scare you. My first computer was a Commodore 64 that had a flash drive.
Did you have the cassette tape drive?
Yes. And it had a card that gave it 1 meg of upper memory.
My first computer was an IBM 386. And
Nice.
it ran MS-DOS.
Yep.
okay.
That was it. We didn't even have Windows when we got that computer. We ended up getting Windows 3.1 later.
My first computing experience was in high school. Believe it or not, my junior year in high school, which would have been 76, 77, we had a computer programming class, and we were taught COBOL.
Mm-hmm.
And what we had to do was we had to write our programs longhand on paper. Those were collected at the end of the class, and the teacher would hand them off to an employee at one of the local banks. And they would actually create punch cards from our programs. And then they would run the punch cards. If the program ran, we got an A. If the program glitched, we got a B. If it didn't run at all, we got an F.
So
Well,
We didn't ever touch the computer. All of our learning was done by writing a longhand program on loose leaf paper.
You were learning programming. It had nothing to do with computers.
well, there was I was going to
Not
say
first.
there's a gentleman on the internet. His name is David. He goes by the 8-bit guy on YouTube. He has a similar story where they have to handwrite out all of their code.
Yep.
Everything had to be handwritten out. It's sent to a guy at it. I believe with him it was a university who would make the punch cards. Then they'd send the punch cards back, and he would have to run the punch card. They would run the punch cards through to see if it worked. This was when I don't believe he was in high school. I believe he was in college when they did this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of course, he ended up. I mean, the 8-bit guy. If you've ever seen his stuff, like he's super cool. Like he figured out how to make the little camera on one of these. He figured out how to make that display so you could see what the mouse sees. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's running at 15 frames a second, so you really couldn't. It wasn't a 1-to-1 comparison, but it was really cool just to see like the mouse what it can see is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Hey, Bert.
Now, y'all want a good laugh? My first computer, first actual play with computer was a web TV.
Ah,
God,
you need
I
something
remember a web TV.
to say.
Yep.
However,
I believe I was already using a 386 at that time.
I believe me and Joe might have looked up the same exact thing on the web TV when he first got it. Because my dad's aunt's girlfriend got web TV. When we went up to Chicago to go visit, it was the first time we ever got access to the internet. The first thing that my dad and I decided to look up, pictures from Hubble.
No, I forget one of my first things that. No, I remember what I tried to do because I bought it on a Saturday night, and the first thing I tried to do was watch the NASCAR in-car. Because that was the new.
Bet money on a different outcome for that statement.
I was thinking that, Dan. I was thinking it.
Commodore 64 got traded
dad.
off for an 8088 with 2 hard drives that were stacked up. They had 30 meg hard drives, 30 meg hard drives. And before I could turn on the CPU, I had to power up both hard drives and get them up to speed before I could turn on the CPU.
Now, what was the competition between TRS-80s and Commodore 64s? There was one other thing.
There was
And I
a
can't remember.
Coleco.
Well, no. Around that time period would have been a Tandy.
No,
Tandy
Tandy would have been the TRS-80. And then a step up would have been the Commodore 64s. But there was one other system that was out.
Oh, well, the Apple II.
The Compact was out by then.
Compact.
COMPAQ.
Compact was an IBM. Or
It was
technically, the
IBM.
Tandy was an IBM too, but it was a weird IBM.
Well, maybe I'm off by a few years or something. Because
Well, no, there's the Apple IIe was around back then, and it was a direct competitor to those.
We had the Apple IIc, which was like desktop. And the Apple IIe was it had the built-in monitor.
The fish tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine gets those things and converts them into little fish aquariums coming off the screen.
With a green and black.
I wish.
I used to
that's
have
my
one of those
graphic
green and
fish.
black monitors. I actually figured out how to hook up a VCR to it, and I was watching 1940s detective movies.
In green and white.
In green and white.
I just remembered another one. Dan, and it might be what you're thinking of. The Spectrum.
It could be.
They did bring Sinclair Spectrums to this country as the Timex Sinclair Spectrums.
Now wait a minute. Didn't Atari have a computer back then?
Yeah, but it was garbage.
I still had a
Well,
computer.
They were all garbage.
Oh, the
I
Commodore.
mean, in comparison,
Garbage.
in comparison to what Commodore and Apple and even Sinclair were doing, the 800 series of computers from Atari were pure garbage.
And let's not forget Texas Instruments.
Yeah,
I
TI.
can't remember the model number,
Yeah.
but it was TI, and it had a cassette tape memory.
Lewis, you might know this, but
The 99
Channel 12
A. That's the one you're thinking
for
of.
years, till about 2000, run all their graphics for their news cast with a ColecoVision.
Yeah.
It was possible to do, yeah.
I worked at Channel 12 from 91 till 2005.
Well, I used to go over there on Saturday nights, and Jim Long, we used to watch.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And I got the you know what? I got the perfect picture to show off the TI 99.
Was that the infamous wrong button night?
No,
At
I don't
10,
think
12.
Jim Long's watch.
well, see, I used to go over to the station and see the stuff going on. Ooh, hello.
That is the Texas Instruments TI 99 playing Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we knew it was Star Trek. There's no mistaking that
But
ship
that's,
silhouette.
but that's
well, you hit
perfect.
it right on the button, because when I went to the station, we used to watch the Paramount feed as it come. So we got to watch Star Trek a week ahead of time.
Mm.
And Jim would be, we'd be watching the thing, and he'd go, "Oop, oop," and he'd jump up and start hitting buttons. Of course,
Oh, well,
everything run off beta.
I haven't seen or talked to him in years.
Well, he was, he's married now.
Yeah. Is he still in SCA?
SCA, yeah, big time. Him and his wife are into model trains now,
Oh, really? Is he
big
still
time.
working with the air pollution control?
No, he's now. He told me who he worked for now, but I don't remember.
Jim's a super
Oh
guy.
God!
Give you the shirt off his back. One of the nicest people. And
Don't give him fireworks.
my wife knew him when she worked at WDEF Radio upstairs. See, she and I had never met until 11 years ago, 12 years ago now. But we used to work in the same building. She was my board op when I was doing play-by-play for high school football in Cleveland. And, yeah, I mean, we crossed paths many times. But
Yeah,
in person,
I remember when WGOW played rock music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I meant to say, when we were still talking about punch card computers,
Yeah.
my mom was a bank teller at one time. Her job was a part-time bank teller, part-time computer operator. And the computer was a punch card computer. So she wanted to do the savings interest. She had to get out a stack of cards, run it through the brain, and sit there at the keyboard, which was an entirely different full-size disk with a little bitty keyboard on it and a great big CRT screen, and run that. And then if she wanted to do the interest on something else, or run the thing that was supposed to do, this is the bills you need to pay. It was an entirely different stack of cards had to be run through. So every program that you ran, you had to completely erase what you were doing and start all over again with a huge stack of, and if one of them got out of order,
Oh,
the bank would eat a bunch of money because the program would not run right.
Mhm.
Now, I never sat there with a punch card.
Punch card.
I never did that, but she did when I had to have go to the dentist or something. I would.
They had a big machine that used to run those punch cards through. They would use a keyboard and type it out onto the punch card.
And it would actually do the holes in the cards.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever got to use a dictaphone belt recorder, which was weird as all get out. But you could get hours and hours and hours talking into that thing on this little blue, like the size of a garter belt, but 3 inches wide. And it was amazing that this machine still worked, but nobody would ever use it. I think there was even a wire recorder down there in the bank basement. It's like a reel-to-reel, but instead of tape, it had something like a guitar string on it.
Guys, I do have breaking news.
What?
Wilford Brimley, face of Quaker Oats and diabetes campaigns, dead at 85.
No.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, actually,
take that back.
I thought he was dead for a while, but yeah, damn.
No, you take that back right now, skunk.
no. That is a real shame.
Lynetta is posting a lot in here, but if we put it up on screen, it'll cover the whole screen.
Yeah.
So, so people tuning in, if you go to the Facebook, I guess it's probably Stupid O'Clock. It'll show in the stream feed. It's some good, interesting stuff, but it takes up a lot of screen space.
I learned a long time ago that Lynetta is somebody it really pays to listen to because she knows a lot.
Yep. All right, I'm going to pull our little logo down because it's actually covering up. No.
I was going to say, if you do that, some might say that's an improvement.
I was
Lynetta's
going to say
talking
that,
about
but I kept my mouth shut.
the Vulcan database program. My first practical use of a computer would have been 1983, National Sports Festival. I was with the Baton Rouge JCs. We were responsible for putting on the opening ceremonies. And I actually got my hands on a Trash 80 with dual floppies and a D-Base 2, a copy of D-Base 2. And I kept track of all the purchasing on that data D-Base 2, the database program. So that was my first practical application. After learning COBOL in 1977, the first time I ever got to use a computer in earnest, a desktop, was early 80s. Boy,
I actually wrote my first attempt at a novel on a TRS-80. And it was 100 pages of outline in the word processor program. The little cartridge you plugged in the side of the TRS-80 saved it. It took like 3 cassette tapes. And I finally was able, before I abandoned the TRS-80, I was able to pull it back in there and print it out. It was 110 pages of outline. When I first started trying to flesh that out into an actual story instead of an outline, each page of the outline turned into 5 pages of actual story. But I never got all the way through it because the way I had to work with that, I had taken it to work and run each page of the outline printout through a scanner, and it was trying to do text recognition to
OCR?
make
Yeah.
OCR, and it was some of the worst OCR you've ever been able to imagine.
Well, the early OCR, like early voice recognition, was very crude.
Oh, yep, this was one of the crudest ones.
Yeah.
Voice recognition. Let's not even go there. I tried to download and set up Dragon Speak.
Oh, wow.
I've got a copy back here that I've never installed.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it don't understand Southern.
Yeah.
You ever seen that video where the 2 Scottish guys get in an English voice recognition?
Oh yeah.
they get into an English voice recognition elevator and they can't get in or out of the elevator. It won't do anything.
Oh, the Scott.
And Scottish.
Because that's
Yeah.
not a background.
Yes, that's hilarious. I love it.
Oh. So let me introduce Blake. Blake popped in on us. Blake, one of our extras on screen is James Ward. He is absolutely a fantastic artist. You need to sort of get him hooked up with John for League of Impossibles on some of the artwork.
We actually have a contest going on right now. If you want to win $100, I'll link you later.
Okay.
Yeah,
James, do you still do the puppetry?
I've got a few puppets. I've still got them, but these things are not what they used to be.
Oh, tell me about it.
And
I go through half a bottle of Aleve every week.
well, I've stuck mostly to art. Bouts of the COVID and everything's really put a niche in me. Dad, he's got a ton of woodworking equipment, and I can't go over there because of the COVID. I'm scared to death that I'm going to bring something over to him, and
Same reason I can't go visit my mom.
and it's like he takes. Well, you've seen them at Liberty Con. There, all the bowls and stuff, the wooden bowls.
Oh yeah, he does beautiful art. Beautiful.
Well, he's got 80 bowls, about 16 or 17 stools, got half a dozen birdhouses. Now he's waiting for a place to sell it. Not bad
Online.
Yeah. it's
Well,
gonna
I
be
thought
Etsy
about
right now.
that too, but online is such mess right now that if my dad is not computer savvy at all. But
Well,
I
mean, you'd have to administrate the website, but still.
yeah, I may throw some stuff
I wish
out
my
and see
mom
what
would
happens.
get into that. She does China painting, and she also does glass painting, and she's been doing art since before I was born. If you've ever seen any of my artwork, if you think I'm any good, she's like 100 times better. And she taught me more than art school in high school and art school in college ever did.
Well, Mom was a doodler. Dad was, of course, he was a carpenter, so he had to make shapes and stuff, and real big on diagrams and stuff. My uncle worked for the Knoxville Sentinel, his last job. He was a great artist, but mostly he did advertising for Lovemans. He did advertising for all these big names. And he says now, at the time, he said, the only thing I do now is take a disc and move a graphic into place and hits a button. And he said he hasn't drawn in years and years and years. But right now, the art community is really hurting because I'm not going out there and sitting out with a bunch of other folks that are walking around who knows what are carrying what.
Don't blame you.
And all these conventions being passed on for next year. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually hoping that there will be a next year.
I technically did a convention, air quotes, comic book show, actually this morning into early this afternoon in Gallatin, Tennessee. A comic book shop invited a couple of actual opposing other comic book shops that either run just conventions or, conventions and brick and mortar to come into their shop and sell and the county, has the mandates. Everyone's got to wear their mask, blah blah blah.
Right.
And they actually had a couple of hundred people throughout the whole day. Like,
Well,
not
they're
all
looking for something to do. That's what it is.
and it wasn't all at once. No one crowded the door at 10 when they opened, because we were all there.
Wave at Joe Dog.
No, we were all there dressed up and everything.
I don't think
And it was fun, and we all wore a mask. Like, you can actually go to our facebook.com/impossibilist and see some of the photos. Everyone kept their distance, and went to the restaurants and waited in line, and it was a good time. And as you said, James, everyone's just looking for something to do and do it safely.
James, Blake put the link to that up into the private chat, and I private messaged it over to you.
Okay. Well, I don't have my Facebook up because it was looping into Facebook, and
okay. You're hitting echo?
But
big time.
But definitely feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of character art previews if you want to base your stuff off to that, or
I do mostly, like Skunky said there, I do a lot of animal cartoony.
Make us animal cartoony, then that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
We have a whole list of characters that you can do.
Actually take their main cover photo in that contest and animalize them.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Or what is it?
Actually,
what's the word for making
anthropomorphize?
Yeah.
Morphic.
Yeah.
I don't have my face with me, but I'm actually kind of a bird creature already. So.
All right, I'll be right back.
I figured you was a bear or something.
Nah, just in real life.
You'd be surprised some of the folks that want something right out of the blue, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do that.
I think it's
one person wanted his badge for his ham radio, and it was a warthog. So I went, found a Disney Pumbaa, and here we are. Have fun.
Well, while Joe is off, I have to run to the refrigerator, and I will be right back. And oh my God, that means John is in charge. We're all doomed.
Dun dun dun.
What sharks with friggin' lasers on their head?
It's like leaving Dr. No in charge of the cookie jar.
How about no?
Are you in charge of the board? Because I keep on seeing the stuff.
We don't actually get to pick where people go, but we can pick who comes. I've got a bunch of buttons down here for all of you. So
okay.
Skunk, I'm going to use you as an example because you're in the back here.
Does anybody remember the FD 1100 laptop?
You're an FD 1100.
Nope, didn't play with it.
Yeah,
this was
my first computer.
This was the computer that we had in the mobile newsroom at Channel 12 in 1990 and 91 and 92 and 93. And this is what we would type our scripts on and print them out on a dot matrix printer and then fax them into the TV station.
Which computers ran wire for you? Do you remember? Back in the 90s? And sorry if I confused anyone with what wire means.
Yeah. No, in the early 90s, we were still using teletype. I don't think we got
still using the core line
AP feed until mid 90s, and by then we were running IBM clones running Windows 3.1 or 3.11.
Yeah, 3.11 using Blue Shield and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the memories that I always had at Channel 12. Now I wasn't working for Channel 12. I just went down there and he would ring me in and I would walk in. I knew everything was going on. I walk in and Luther would walk in the halls, and or he would come into the into the direction room and hey, what's going on? Nothing much, And what you've seen in the on the newscast whenever he did anything, he didn't like go somewhere and change. He wore that all day.
Yep.
And if it was 11 o'clock, quarter to 12, when he was ready to go home, here he went. He's 3-piece suit, and I was like,
Yep.
Lord. And it cracked me up. You see the newscasters and stuff. They from here up be all nice and pretty, and they'd stand up in shorts.
Yeah. When 96 or 97, when Channel 12 started doing the Life with Luther.
Yeah.
Pieces, I was his photographer, and we would be on our way somewhere, and he's sitting next to me, and I'm like, dear God, if somebody runs into me, if I wreck, I'm the guy that killed a legend.
Yep.
And I let that slip one day, that I was kind of worried that something would happen to Luther while he was in my care. He started driving his pickup truck to all the shoots.
I used to be with Fort Oglethorpe Fire Department, and who would show up for the news? For the news to show up, Jimmy Sampley. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, here he come.
Mm-hmm.
Or what was that guy's name?
Oh,
It's
I
on the
know
guy.
what you're thinking about it, Channel 3.
No. Well, Channel 3 always came in turnout gear and everything. Channel 9, won't even talk about them.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name.
You were probably thinking of
He
Tommy
had the,
Eason. You were probably thinking
Tommy Eason.
Tommy
Thank
Eason.
you. You see, I've tried many years to forget that name.
Dan and I are both confused because he didn't live here in the area, and that was before my time.
Oh, it was.
Oh,
Yeah, Tommy.
Sorry.
Tommy was.
That's a name
Well,
I've heard, though.
Yeah, Tommy
Tommy
was
Easton
at
is the
12
name I've
for a
heard.
while, wasn't there? Did
Tommy
he work?
Eason had been shooting news in this market since there was a market. He worked for Channel 12 when we went on the air in 1954 and didn't stop. He didn't retire until 2007,
It was in the 10s.
maybe
I thought it was.
2008.
What was the joke about Luther's that he was a cub reporter when Noah landed?
Yeah, well, I mean, but seriously, he's the only on-air electronic broadcaster who reported both Pearl Harbor and 9/11.
Yeah.
That's
70-something years,
that's a
wasn't it?
documented fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his career spanned at over 65 years.
Yeah.
And he, what was it? He's in. It took a lot to get him in the National Broadcasters Hall of Fame, right?
Well, it takes a lot to get anybody in the National Broadcasters Hall of Fame. He was in the Tennessee the first,
When they
first
first.
couple of ballots. But he's not only in the National Broadcasters Hall of Fame, but he was in the museum before they went belly up. So
Where was the National Broadcasters Museum?
that's in New York, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got a question. Y'all might be able to answer. What?
42.
42.
No. What were the NBC, CBS, and ABC stations in the Knoxville area
Oh, God.
in the mid 1960s? Say 65 to 69.
Unless we got it.
I don't know. I was
area,
dead at
don't
the
know.
time.
Probably the same ones that are there now.
Well, I know that, but I don't know what they are. I'm not there.
Well, there's WATE,
Wait, yeah.
WVLT. WVLT is the CBS affiliate. WATE is the ABC affiliate. I can never remember the NBC, huh?
BIR?
BIR. WBIR is the NBC affiliate. Thank you, Joe.
Well,
Those
As a
would have
last-
been the three that I grew up with in my childhood in Tennessee.
Oh, look at that. My Life with Luther.
and Oh, you'd see. It.
Autograph?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, my mother-in-law went to school with him,
Wow.
and till the day he said he said the most dirtiest jokes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He had one that was his favorite. He said that his wife's credit card got stolen, but he never reported it because the thief was spending less than she did. That was his favorite joke. And he always carried around this little baby comb in his coat pocket. And he'd meet somebody for the first time, and he'd say, "Hold on a second," and he'd pull that baby comb out and drag it across that cue ball of his. He said, "I just wanted to look my best."
Oh, Blake,
Hey,
what
Chris.
on us? Hey, bugs.
Chris,
I still have not figured out what is causing the gnats in my room.
I got them in mine too. I'm in the basement office, and I mean every night there's at least one gnat that's.
I've heard a rumor that it's gnats that are causing gnats in your room.
Oh, you're a freaking genius! Thank you, John.
They're Nazis.
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 It's a Nazi plot.
Yeah, no, I'm done with him. That's it. I'm the pun guy.
What's that? Said,
John.
What? Hey,
Jealousy will get you nowhere.
my hands were on my knees. Okay. Now, if you see me doing this over here, that was me.
if you got anything in the house like fruit or tomatoes or
juice. Any
juice,
fruit.
any juice,
Wine.
beer.
If you leave water in your sink with your like you're soaking dishes because they're grubby or whatever, that'll track them.
I
Garbage.
have
Your garbage
I have a
can.
trash can right over here on my left-hand side where I crush and save my beer cans for
That's what it's
recycling.
tracking them then.
Yeah.
And we have to spray that at least every other day, otherwise we get fruit flies.
Yeah, that's.
I ain't got
gnats.
here in my house. We don't have gnats. We don't have flies. I tell you what, we do get occasionally.
Beavers.
Mosquito hunters.
Oh,
those
deer flies.
They fly.
Oh, the big. We call them
Big monsters.
Skeeter eaters. That's what I always heard.
They'll fly around.
Or
They'll
wall
get in the
bumpers.
house.
Call them wall bumpers.
Yeah, they get in the house. They just bump into everything and they're annoying.
Yeah.
And they just,
And the cats lose their mind.
I'm gonna tell them myself. We got a palmetto bug in here the other night.
Ooh.
Yeah, big bugs.
Now let me tell you right now. Here goes our demonetizations. Those son of a bitches can fly.
Now,
yeah.
Yes, they
those
can.
are not palmetto bugs.
What are they?
They're like akin to it, but palmetto bugs, when you step on them, they will pop and they stink.
Well, I don't know what
They
this
come
thing-
mostly from Florida.
I don't know what.
Those
know
are the
what
ones that
this-
flies.
I don't know what this thing was. I was fixing a sandwich, and the thing attacked me. Landed on my face.
That's what you get for using Miracle Whip instead of Dukes.
I will admit, I screamed like a girl. I had my hat on.
Why could not this have happened while we were on the air? Our ratings would have been through the roof.
Well, it's like the last time that something like that happened.
We would have been
were on the
sued
air.
by Toho for infringing on their Godzilla license.
Well, long
Mothra.
story short, Donna peed on herself in the hallway.
From laughing at you?
Yeah. Cause
I don't think your
I had
wife
my
wants you to talk about her incontinence.
hey, I had my hat on, I had my glasses on. It took me 10 minutes to find my glasses. Because when it attacked, I threw everything and screamed and ran out of the kitchen and told her to kill it.
You wuss.
Oh man.
Skunk, all I'm going to say is when you're spreading the mayo, well, actually, I was using
Spreading the mayo sounds like a
Yeah,
euphemism.
it's just no wonder Donna was laughing at it.
Hey, he
Um,
spreads the mayo, but he can't cut the mustard.
I am not even going to go there, and I have the talent for going there.
and
Goodbye, YouTube.
next thing I know, this thing is on my face, going for my eyeball.
You knew its intent.
I knew its intent.
Okay.
There ain't nothing more worse than
Now-
doing dishes and you reach down and you find one of those big cockroaches in the soapy water.
Just taking a bath. Leave him alone.
What was he doing? Backstroke.
Scariest one I ever did. I was on National Guard. We were doing a drill, and we were doing organizational rally point. We went in and we did our corral. I'm out on LPOP. Okay. I'm sitting there, got my machine gun in front of me. I'm all camouflaged. I'm in a nice hidden position, right? I'm sitting here and I'm just listening because I know nothing's going on, but I'm listening anyway, you know, playing the role. Sitting here. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting real still. I hear something moving in the leaves behind me. Now I'm laying in the prone. I'm laying on my stomach. I'm laying on my machine gun like this. I'm like, so I'm not going to move because I don't know what it is. I hear it moving through the leaves, and I stops for a second. Then all of a sudden, on the back of my camouflage pants leg, I can feel it coming up my pants leg, on the outside of my pants. But it comes up, crawls up over the back of my equipment belt, crawls up my back. I can feel it coming up the equipment belt over here, comes up my shoulder. I glance over, and I see the snake head coming over the top of my shoulder.
Oh.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, just be still. Let him do his thing. Crawls across. Now I've got my arm on the machine gun. Crawls across my machine gun hook. I got the hook on top of my shoulder. Crawls across the hook. Crawls out here. I thought it was a snake because it looked like a snake when I glanced over at it. I didn't want to move my head and get bit in the face, you know. So I glanced over at it. It's a salamander. And he just steadily walks out the end of my machine gun, right across the feed tray, right across the handle, right out on the, gets out to the barrel, falls off. Goes about it. I said, okay, that is probably the strangest animal encounter I have had since I got in the National Guard. And about the time I said that, a sparrow landed on the barrel of my machine gun and just sat there staring at me. And I'm like, you know, I'm a pretty high-speed infantry soldier. But when did this turn into a fucking Bambi movie? I mean, I'm expecting deer to come over and like sing songs and stuff now.
That's when you know your camouflage is really good.
James reminded me of something I seen a couple of years ago. Do you guys remember Joe Cartoon?
Nope.
It was a video series. It was these stupid cartoons. We're talking Beavis and Butthead level humor, right? That were on the internet way back when nobody else was doing it. They were
What was it called again?
Joe Cartoon. They were the guys that did like the Frog in the Blender and the Gerbil in the Microwave.
Oh, yeah.
So they had one. It was the guy had a fly in his soup, and he looks down and he sees the fly and he's like, "What are you doing in my soup?" And the fly's like, "I'm doing a backstroke, dumbass."
Okay. Hey,
What's that? Said Dutch.
they
Said
have
this.
one
He said
called
that-
Hillary Clinton in a blender too. I may
Yeah.
like these guys.
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
They did all the politicians. They,
Dutch Fred-
back in
When
back in the
Dutch-
day, you could get a mod to Wolfenstein that had Bill Clinton running around. When you shot him, it would fall over and go, "I feel your pain," and that was always fun.
well, there was a.
No, you were talking about what did Dutch always
No,
say?
Dutch
Yeah.
said that this guy was in these three guys was in a bar. He said that one of them had a fly go into his drink and it disgusted him, and he got back and backed off from it. He goes, "I don't believe this," and he leaves. And the second guy sitting there, another fly falls in his drink, and he gently takes it out and dips it up with a spoon, and puts it over to the side. Kept on going. The third one went in, and fly dropped in his drink. He picked it up and grabbed it by the wings and smacked it in the back of the head, saying, "Spit it out! Spit it out! Spit it out!"
James is mentioning that that Wolfenstein mod, there on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, there was a mod made by Sunstorm Interactive for Duke Nukem 3D that it was a commercial product. You could purchase this. You had to have Duke already. It was an expansion pack. And what it did was it was an episode that was set in Washington, D.C. So you would go to all these different areas in Washington, D.C. Go to the White House, the Pentagon, the Smithsonian. That level was fun but annoying. It was huge because the Smithsonian is really
Way
big.
too much walking.
Really, really super cool mod. But the point of it was you're supposed to save the president, and it's Bill Clinton.
Did
So
y'all
when you
just
get to the
hear
last
that
level,
go by?
No. When you get to the last level, Bill Clinton is like, you see him duct taped to a chair, and he's in the background, and they never say Bill Clinton. It's Bill Clinton. You can tell it's Bill Clinton.
No, the guy down the street who has a rather limber elbow just pulled a George Jones.
Okay.
Driving to the liquor store on a lawnmower.
Yeah,
Him?
he just went by on a riding lawnmower at 12:08 in the
Well,
morning.
Again, we didn't hear it.
Okay.
What's that?
I'm glad you heard it.
Let's just hope the state patrol didn't hear it.
That's what I
'Cause
was
I
getting
know that. I know that lawnmower ain't got no plate on it. It might be
Pulled
insured,
somebody-
but it
I
ain't
watched
got
one
no
of these
plate.
police videos that shows this person laying there, driving along in his lawnmower, and the police pull him over. And the guy couldn't even get off the lawnmower. He was so drunk. He fell off of it.
Oh,
my absolute favorite one was the horse.
Yeah.
Where the guy gets pulled over, he's for DUI, but he's on a horse. They're all like, "Well, you're
The
kind of
horse was driving."
And he goes, "It's okay if I pass out. The horse knows the way home." And the cops couldn't argue with that logic. They were like, "You know what? Never mind."
Yeah, who do
I
you
was
give the
coming
ticket to?
back.
the guy that you're
The guy
talking
for being a
about on
drunk
the
passenger, or the
lawnmower,
horse for driving him around?
the guy that you're talking about on the lawnmower, they got him on another video on a scissor lift.
Oh, I remember the scissor lift guy.
It's the same guy.
That's funny.
He
Now, do you know those?
You know what they
that
charged him
they're-
with, don't you?
what?
Trying to get high.
No. When they told him climb down, told him to get down, he says, "Watch me," and raised the scissor lift all the way up, and says, "You come up here and get me." And he ended up
You
having.
didn't remember there's controls at the bottom too, right?
I think when you're up, or
Well,
whatever.
no, there's an emergency. Those things always have an emergency release down at
Mhm.
the bottom where you can let out all of the pneumatic pressure and just bring the whole thing down. We had those at work.
Yeah,
Remember
Yeah.
at Best Buy. And if
there's a key switch that turns the platform control off and the ground level control
Because
on.
you'd have to do that. It'd have to be a safety device like that.
because let's say I was getting a TV out of the warehouse off of the third floor, which when I worked at Best Buy, we had to do this all the time. So you had to go up to the third floor of shelves and pull the TV off. And if you were doing that, if it was a big enough TV, you'd wrenching this thing off of there because they're heavy and you can only get it one specific way, especially during the holidays. You're in a hurry. Sometimes your elbow would hit that emergency stop button. But then you got to get on the headset and be all like, "Somebody come let me down." They'd have to come over there and be like,
restart it. And usually it's hydraulics instead of air, but that actually depends on the piece of equipment.
This one, it had a little thing you could release the valve, and you'd hear it go.
Yeah. I've been in a bucket lift with a 120-pound pressure air hose cleaning dust and dirt off of the factory ceiling, and the bucket lift ran out of gas, and the guy I was with in the bucket. We're just sitting up there, 120 feet off of the ground, boom, fully extended, and air hose just blowing the bucket around. We've done everything we can do, and we're just waiting on a supervisor to walk up and flip the switch and let it down so that somebody can go get another can of gas and fill it back up so we can go and do the rest of the factory sealing. I have never had that long a wait for somebody in charge to come and see why I am goofing off.
Don't get in the Navy.
It's like we spent 90 minutes up there going, if we had a radio, we could call somebody.
Oh, Lewis, you and James will get along fine. Y'all are both Navy vets.
Oh, okay. What was your rate?
HT.
Oh, hull tech.
Yeah.
I was an operations specialist.
Oh, okay.
You.
Well, they took my rate, split it to damage control and hull maintenance technician.
Uh-huh.
And just before I re-upped, they put them both together.
Mm.
So I went from $16K for another 4 years to zero.
Mm.
And that ended my Navy career.
It sounds like it'd be time to pull the plug on that one, yeah.
Yeah. I said, guys, you're going to have to pay me if you want another 4 years. I worked on a sub-tender out of Kings Bay, Georgia.
Oh, okay. I was on a fast frigate out of Norfolk.
Out of Norfolk?
Yep.
I did a reserve shot at I did a reserve deal at
Still got his hat.
wish I did. Mine got destroyed by I used to be riggers before I got out.
Mm.
And worked on submarines.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the SEMA out of Jacksonville, Mayport.
Okay.
Where'd you do your boot camp?
Booted in Orlando.
Take off your hat. Yep, still got that suntan.
No, I booted in Orlando, A-schooled at Great Lakes.
God.
Spent my fleet, Atlantic Fleet from Norfolk.
Let me guess. They sent you to Orlando in the middle of summer, and they sent you to Great Lakes in the middle of winter.
Uh-huh.
Well,
That's
they put
military.
me in Great Lakes.
I got to Great Lakes in September, but I didn't graduate until the week before Christmas. But by Thanksgiving, we had 2 stories worth of snow because my barracks pointed out towards Lake Richmond, and the lake effect snow came up to my 2nd floor window.
Guys, not a cloud in the sky, and it's snowing to beat the band.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'd wake you up to go out there and clean those walkways, snow watch.
No, we had hull techs for that.
No. They woke us up.
That was the point there.
I don't think he caught that one.
I got it.
No, heck.
I'll just wait until you need to get something welded to the deck.
Just don't make it as boot.
Sorry, James. That was just too good to pass up.
I've heard it all.
Well, we didn't have Marines on base, so
we had Marines on our ship.
Oh, wow.
Right next to I was
What?
berthing.
At least if the engine broke down, you had somebody to row.
155 frames. That thing ain't going nowhere. Of course, we had to put divers over the side to break us away from the pier because we didn't go nowhere. But it was all sea duty.
Really? You got paid for sea duty, but you slept on dry land every night?
No.
No?
We had the Simon Lake was a tender. We
Yeah.
didn't go nowhere, but to be on the ship is considered sea duty.
Right.
So I had right about 4 years of sea duty.
Is that a tender thing just because they keep you there until you're ready to go or something
No,
like that?
no, we go, we sit, and they come to us.
Oh.
Submarines, fast attack, the old boomers,
Mm-hmm.
and fast attacks. Guys, 130 something people in a submarine that's small, so small that they were, one person would get up,
Probably
and
bunch.
strip his
Yeah.
bed. The
Yeah.
next person would get in, make the bed, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
That was 16-hour days.
Mm.
And
Oh, James, you were telling me a story about a potato gun.
yeah, we was off the coast of Miami. You may love this there, Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're sitting out there with nothing to do, and you had to be in your shop, okay? We're there, and I'm the older country boy, and everybody else was from New York and around the area. And I said, "Have you guys ever used a potato gun?"
Yeah.
A what? A potato gun. Well, what does it do? And that's where you take a bunch of cans and you duct tape them all, and then you put a little lighter fluid in it, and you could shoot potatoes or anything you got in it. Oh, we got to make one of these. I said, okay. I told them how to make it. Well, we didn't have no metal cans. We had soda cans. So we took about 8 Pepsi cans. Now, our ship only had Pepsi. We didn't have Coke. We had Pepsi. And they duct taped it all up. We took about 4 or 5 rows of duct tape and took it down to the weld shop. And they took that real nice nuclear weld and welded it all up. I said, okay. We put it on a clamp on a welded table, cut a hole in the back of it, squirted it with some lighter fluid, put a tennis ball in, and shot it across the room. That's cool. And I went, well, Southern boys, we figure out how to do anything to keep us busy. 6-pack of beer and a bug zapper, and that's a night.
Yeah.
But
High quality entertainment there.
high quality entertainment. Well, one of the guy goes, I think I can make it better. And I said, how so? He goes, well, I got that bottle of acetylene over there.
Oh my goodness.
And I went, guys, that's not raw acetylene. That's welding acetylene. Because I'm a little touchy on that one. I said, I don't know what that would go to. I've seen ether and all the rest of the stuff used. I said, okay. And this is 40 psi acetylene, and you turned on the tank and you went in with a cutting torch.
Mm-hmm.
You got enough? I'll give it a couple more seconds. We capped it off, saturated it. And I wish I could find the ship's logs. One of these days, the ship's logs will be able to read up on this. Who's going to light this thing off? Not me. One guy goes, well, I'll light it off. And he reached over with his lighter and touched it off.
How far did the shroud
Well, we never
go?
found the tennis ball. It
You
obliterated.
remember that washing machine down in the laundry? Yeah. Well, it's clean through the hull.
What don't know is below, we were on the 03 level, and below us was the quarter deck.
Oh shit.
That was manned. 3 o'clock in the morning, they hear this.
Didn't he?
They hear this bang, huh?
Officer of the deck got a surprise, huh?
General quarters,
Oh.
and it blew so loud that it knocked all the dust off of the chain falls we had on the wall and just filled the whole compartment full of dust. And broke the mounts on the table and shot it across the room from recoil. We're all deafened by the explosion. And we're running to our G quarter station, taking this Pepsi can and tossing it over the side. Now, somewheres 50 miles off the coast of Miami, somewheres in the Bermuda Triangle, about so many fathoms down, is a bunch of Pepsi cans with duct tape on it, blevied down the center, and the captain, they had to wake up the captain because they didn't know what it was. There was an investigation and they never found out.
Vapor explosion.
It's
bad.
It's on the internet now, right? Okay, just wanted to point that out. Okay.
What? You want to
point?
point?
This is on the internet now, right? Okay, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. No.
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations are way over by now.
I don't think the Navy actually has statute of limitations.
UCMJ.
Nothing got destroyed other than a little bit of hearing and a lot of. In fact, we probably did everybody with nothing else to do.
John.
And I bet you weren't even able to blame it on the cook's chili.
I used to bunk underneath the galleys. They woke us up at 6:30 or 5:30 in the morning because somebody put bacon in the oven and waited too long and it flashed over.
Oh my!
So here we are running to our GQ station for a fire, and we're getting all of our stuff on and everything else. And we had a boy by the name of Goff, Goff. I'll never forget him. He walked into the galley, opened up the oven, sprayed it with CO2 and closed it up and said, "Fire's out." We went in there next morning. We might as well got up then. And we was going through the chow line. I said, "Hey, Cookie, let me have some more of that crispy bacon." "Shut up, Ward." Oh, we had females on board.
What?
Yes, co-ed.
What year was
we didn't call it the Love Boat for nothing.
What year was this?
83 to 86.
Huh.
Tender, yeah. Because did your tender have things like a barber shop for the?
Oh yeah.
In
barbershop, mail,
PX, or what do you call it?
PX. Well, we had a helo deck,
right?
But it wasn't rated to land helos. So what it was is they'd take this crane and they would put ship supplies on the helo deck. We had another name for it. It was called Helo Mart. Oh God, 30 in the morning, we'd go out there and see what they had on the deck. And it could be boots, could be something. They had to pitch a guard out there to keep people from raiding it. And oh God, one guy found something and he took it home and opened it up, and it was a full case of electronic testing equipment.
Oh.
And they said, what about the identification marks that was on the boxes and stuff? Guys, it was stickers. You peel the sticker off, good to go.
Or if you're like me, you printed new stickers with a computer printer. Commodore 64, man.
Oh, they had a computer reel to reel. Now this is 1968 60s technology. They had a reel to reel, and we repainted the deck above them. And they come out just raising all kinds of cane. What happened? You painted our spot black. We painted it all black with non-skid. You don't understand. The heat is going through the deck and messing with the computers.
Oh man.
Oh.
You see,
something like $20,000 in computer damage. He had to paint a spot about the size of a Volkswagen white.
I did not know this when I was going through A school or anything, but because I was an operations specialist, radar radio operator, CIC, Combat Intelligence Center, the only area on board my ship that was air conditioned.
Yep,
So
because you had to.
for 4 hours twice a day, I was air conditioned because we had computers in there. No other area in the ship was air conditioned. They had the forced air vents, but not cold air.
Right.
So that was nice.
But I did my boot camp in Great Lakes, winter,
Ooh,
minus 89 degrees Christmas morning.
damn.
Storm come through. I graduated January 5th, got on a plane at O'Hare, and it was minus 20. 6 hours later, landed in San Francisco, California for my fire school. I went from minus 20 to about 70, 75 degrees. And I'm just, of course, I was not this rather large, very hairy person you see today. And I sweated like nobody's business. Oh, it's dripping off of me. And they go, what is wrong with you? Why are you sweating so much? I said, I just came from Great Lakes. I ain't sweating. I'm defrosting.
My
To boot
dad
camp,
had
I
a,
had hair like Skunky right there. He goes, you want to see your hair? He goes, yeah. And he went, "Whoop, here you go."
my dad was always telling us this joke. I was born in Flint, Michigan, and we left when I was 3 years old. My sister had just been born, and Dad was always threatening to move back to Detroit or someplace. And I'm going, I'll see y'all when you get back. I remember snow, and remember I was only 3 years old when we left. I remember snow halfway up the windows of a single level house.
Hmm.
And
We
I'm
had
going,
snow.
I am never going back there again in my life. You're going to have to pull a gun on me and put me in handcuffs to get me to go back to Michigan. No
We had
way.
snow on the ground, something like about a foot of snow, and we had the walkways and stuff were all, and you had to get out onto the road to march. We marched to breakfast. We marched to lunch. We marched to chow. Anytime we did something, they had winter condition. I think it was 1. That meant if you didn't have to go out, you didn't go out.
Hmm.
They had a ambulance that sat there and idled with its lights going for people that fell on the ice, and they pick them up, take them across the street to the hospital in Great Lakes.
Hmm.
Now, I tell you this, they put down a lot of salt for the roads and everything.
They're boondockers quick.
Well, you know it and I know it, because I went out there in very shined up, nice boots, and they were all boondockers were pretty. Go to chow, come back, they'd be as white as a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And I would clean them off, get them heated up again, put down another coat of black on it, make them look good, get them shined up. Oh, that time to go chow. You're kidding me. Go to chow, come back, they're white again. Finally, I just said, I don't care anymore. And I started putting layers on them. Now, I tell you that, I was on my first ship, the Simon Lake, and we're taking a walk. And I heard something like pants ripping. I'm like, did I rip something? And I took another step and it went again. I didn't know what it was until my third step and my foot hit non-skid. My socks hit non-skid. I look back, there's the sole of my shoe.
Those were the
You know-
days.
Huh?
Those were the days.
Yes, it
Well,
was.
you know what happens when you mix snow and salt? You get ice cream.
Yeah. No, it's ice and salt.
Well, I didn't say there was any flavor added.
You know,
I went to my original PLDC, which was your first sergeant's school that you go to become corporal or sergeant in Augsburg, Germany. It was nice weather, springtime, nice weather, stuff like that. But they had this huge windstorm come in, and which was very unusual for Germany. And they had like tornadoes in Germany, and you just really don't hear about that very much. And Augsburg is it's an old German barracks. And the barracks, they've got a basement, and then they've got 3 floors, and the 3rd floor is in the big attic rooms with the terracotta shingles on the roof. And they, like you were talking earlier, they march you to chow. So 3 times a day, somebody has to march the unit to chow, and they always rotate who's marching you. We went out there, and as we're marching up the hill to the chow hall, wind's blowing, nobody can stay in formation, your hats are flying off, people are having to run out and chase hats and stuff. And these ceramic roof shingles, which are about 1 foot by 1 foot and about 1.5 inches thick ceramic, are coming off of the roofs from the 3rd floor, 4th to 3rd floor, flying out, and you can hear, and you're just walking down there, all of a sudden you see, bam! There'd be one shatter across the road, and then even the drill sergeant looked scared. and it was like he says, "Oh, he wasn't even marching the unit. Someone else was. And he just jumped in there, and goes, "Oh, we're gonna E&E to the mess hall. Everybody just run up the hill."
we went and we was in formation, and we had a first class bosun's mate and a senior chief Airedale as our company commander and his assistant.
Well, that's a pair.
Oh, it was, and he was about to retire, the senior chief Graham. And wait a minute, I've got my book somewhere. I'll have to find it. I'll find it for next week. But he's standing there just do this, kind of, and a seagull flies over, and right on the brim of his hat, that bird crapped on him.
On the brim.
On the brim of his hat, and you hear it go, and we're all sitting there trying our best to keep our mouth shut because we're gonna get exercised to death. He takes off his hat and looks at it, looks at that bird, commie bird. Oh, we not died. They said, we're going to run you into the ground. It'll be worth it. But Simon Lake
I got to make another run to the
I've got to
fridge.
keep my mic muted because my son just got home and the dogs are losing their mind. So I'm here listening. I just don't want y'all to hear the commotion of the pack going crazy.
Yeah, blame it on the dog.
Yeah, blame it on the dog. They went when the ship broke loose. We had to have 4 tugs. The tugs went out, and where we run up and down the coast was in the Bermuda Triangle. Don't tell me something ain't happening out there.
Yeah, I know.
I went out there
do it every time on the way back from the Med.
And it's crazy. I went out there and the ship lost power. Now we're talking about steam generators, old style 1960s, dead in the water. No, the compass was spinning the whole bit, and that fog starts rolling in. And I'm sitting there with a flashlight doing my best Twilight Zone voice going, "You about to make a trip beyond sight and sound? Shut up, Ward." We're about to go see E.T.
I never had anything spooky happen in the triangle, but the worst storm I ever experienced on the Atlantic was going through there. And my
These
ship,
guys never heard anything about walking on the walls.
oh, yeah. Oh, my ship was designed to take a 90-degree roll before capsizing.
Oh,
And I was in CIC, and we've got the maneuvering board, which is plexiglass with a 360-degree representation of the area around the ship. Well, we had a bolt in the dead center of this, and a string and a nut attached to the end of the string.
oh,
So and the board was perpendicular to the beam. So whenever we would take a roll, that string
it would move.
would move, and I would mark off how far it went before it went back to know how far we rolled. During that little storm, we got to an 85-degree roll. The ship was laying on its side
Oh,
in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh,
I saw
It was a frigate, right?
yes, it was a frigate.
Frigate is
Yeah, and I bet that's what you said when that happened.
Yeah.
no, he was saying Ralph.
That is pretty much the
They were
smallest ship in the Navy.
Really.
You
We
got
had guys
frigates,
that used
then
to get
destroyers, then cruisers, then all the other stuff.
We had guys that used to get seasick when the tugs hit the side of the ship.
Oh Lord.
You could do this to him, and they just turned green.
I got sick the very first time I reported on the ship, and it lasted about 24 hours. They gave me a sleeve of
Done.
saltines and a garbage bag and said, go out on the weather deck. Just look at
I
the
never got seasick.
line. And I did, and I was, and I never got ever, not even in that storm, got seasick again. Now, I didn't get seasick in the storm because I had something to do, and I was focused on the job. But, you know, when we took that 85-degree roll, I'm literally holding on to the grab ass bar and hanging there and marking in grease pencil how far we go. But yeah, I mean, you know, you take a roll like that, and if you're walking down the passageway, all of a sudden you're walking on the bulkhead now. Crazy.
Oh. That's one
Back
thing
when I
I
was
never.
living in East Tennessee, I had a cousin who would get seasick in the middle of the lake in a John boat. Basically, I mean, you're not even going 5 miles an hour, and there's no waves or anything. It's just, and he never went fishing with us again. I don't know. I don't know if Daddy did. I don't know if Daddy turned into that ski boat's wake on purpose, but vroom, vroom, vroom. That was it. That was it. That
I
was
used to
all
sleep
it took.
so good in my bunk because the ship, especially when he was underway, would roll.
Yeah.
Boy,
And that constant vibration and
Mhm.
hum of the engines. When I would come off a cruise, it would take me days to be able to sleep because the bed wasn't moving and there wasn't noise.
when I got out of the Navy, went home, 2 weeks I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Because it was too quiet.
Yep.
You didn't hear people falling down the steps, the ladder going into the berthing, people unhooking their berthings at all hours of night and dropping them on the deck, you know, or opening up lockers, or drunks coming in, raising Cain and all this kind of stuff. And I think it was about every 6 hours, the tides would change. And it would pull the ship away from the pier, and the mooring lines would pull it back in, and you'd bump the pier.
Yeah.
I'm laying in bed, and I was so used to it that I'm asleep in the house, and I bumped the pier. And I'm like, it woke me up. I'm like, what the hell was that? Then it dawned on me. I bumped the pier.
Huh. Wow. When Star Trek The Next Generation first came on the air, very first episode, first thing that I noticed, they always had that low rumble engine sound in the background.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
said, that's what living on board ship is like.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Of course, you know what cracks me up is these ghost hunters that go out to these old ships and oh, you ought to hear this, you ought to hear that. Oh, this is going on. I'm like, guys, get in the Navy.
Yeah, they ain't
That
nothing
ain't nothing new.
going on there.
Fish, mullet could come by and slap the side of the ship, and you'd hear it.
Yeah.
And they said if burp, anything, you know, metal contracts. And
Sun comes up, that boat's making all sorts of noise.
making all kinds
Sun
of
goes
noise.
down, boat's making all kind of noise, even if it's just sitting still.
Yeah.
Well, old boats are even worse because you got if somebody turns on a water and turns it off real good fast, it'll water hammer. All the pipes will move.
Yep.
Doesn't surprise me. Guys, I'm going to call it a night. I hope y'all have a great evening.
Take care, Chris.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yep.
Well, James, you and I are going to have to get together after all this is over with and rehash a bunch of stories.
Oh Lord, I've got artwork and I've got I still got my my book from boot camp.
No
See a skinny guy like me.
Well, on the wall, I've got my boot camp graduation picture and my A school graduation picture. I'm going to have to scan those and put those up on my page sometime.
My mom and dad got all them.
Well, my dad's boot camp graduation picture too. That's something to see. That was World War II.
Well, yeah, actually, you, John, and James need to schedule a cup of coffee at a Waffle House.
Absolutely. Gonna close the place.
Let's go someplace with decent coffee, Cracker Barrel or something.
Okay. It never fails. You have a chief. Its hand is always like this. Why are your hand like that? Well, they held the coffee.
Yeah.
For many years, he had his hand like this. And he'd go, now you need to do, and his hand would, you couldn't close it.
I went on a tour of the USS Texas, the battleship.
Yeah.
It's an old dreadnought class. Dates back to 1916. It's been modified so many times it ain't funny. But they were talking about how they had a bakery, and it's
we
right
had one
on
ours.
It's right on the gun deck. Of course, this is a battleship. You know, they got 650, almost 1,000 crew, and they had the old 5-inch guns down the side, the old single guns that in a pintle mount and big window on the side of the ship. They called it the air castle, and the reason was it was a big aired out gallery where the guns were sitting. But the guns it was all armored in, sort of, but there was a big door at one end, big door at the other. When the ship's moving, there's air rolling through there. And while they're running those 5-inch guns, right behind them, the cooks are doing bread. and that whole gun gallery would just fill up with that smell of fresh bread.
We had
the hell out of primer and gunpowder.
I can just hear a cook now going, if you fire one of them things and my bread falls.
Yeah, hardtack. The cooks on our ship was Filipino.
backside.
If there was a Filipino cook, you will get rice in something. And we had Fast Eddie's, which was kind of like hamburger. If it was round, it was hamburger. Of course, we didn't have hamburger. We had soy burgers.
Something, yeah.
And if it looked like chicken, it was rabbit. If it was square, it was fish. And we had a bakery. We had a like I said, Fast Eddie's, and I was going to say something.
Let me ask you Navy guys something just to see if you saw this. Okay. I am a firm believer from eating Army Chow and MREs that the Bush family, George Bush, both of them, have stock in a pear ranch somewhere. Because
Pears or
pears.
we have a plentiful supply of cling peaches.
Okay, peaches, but I've never eaten so many pears in my entire life than when I was in active duty. It was in the MREs, it was in the chow line.
Well, see, I never ate MREs.
No.
Well,
See,
They didn't have them.
You don't have to
Jimmy
have
Carter
that.
had been president, you'd have had a hell of a lot of peanut butter.
We had peanut. All the MREs had peanut butter.
Yeah.
Well,
Matter of
in
fact, that was currency in Iraq.
bread.
We had little lunch boxes, if you could call it that, little paper white boxes that had a sandwich, chips,
We called them Jimmy Deans.
something like that. It was no, I tell you what I called them. I called them just bleh. They had this non-perishable milk.
The UTH milk.
I don't know, but it was right up there amongst the barium that you would drink before you'd get an X-ray.
Did you ever get the cottage? Did you ever get the cottage cheese version?
Oh,
You're lucky.
now
We had
I
some bad.
remember what I'm going to say.
You take the little. It was in a little box. You took a little straw off the side and the wrapper.
Right.
And poked it in the hole.
Yeah, that's what. And red box.
You're wondering why the milk wouldn't come out, and all of a sudden you got a mouthful of like cottage cheese.
Yeah, it curdled. Yeah.
Oh, they had
Perishable
seagulls.
milk that curdles. Ugh.
We had seagulls on the bow of our ship. They would cluster up and they flying like crazy. Come chow time, all those birds were gone.
They knew better.
What happens is when they fly in front of a radar, they go and drop
Well,
to the deck.
Here's the funny part. They served Cornish game hens to chow. And I'm sitting there going, that's not Cornish hens. Those are seagulls. Don't even cry.
On the back deck.
Or
they got fire control flashed. That's what that
they
was.
had cookies that you could take the cookies. You know, they were that hard. I told them, I said, you could take those things and take down a seagull with one of the cookies.
Did they?
Ninja stars.
Ninja stars, yes.
Okay, when the original MREs came out, this was right after they got rid of sea rations. They used to come in a dark brown bag. Now they come in a light brown bag. The original MREs, there were two meals that you just really did not want to get. Beef patty dehydrated and pork patty dehydrated.
Oh.
You open this thing up and it's about the size of a waffle, you know, one of the little Eggo kind of things, but it's rectangular, about a half an inch thick. Looked, smelled, and tasted like greasy dog food.
Probably.
You were supposed to add water and heat it up, but this thing was so greasy it wouldn't absorb water. It would float. And it's like, they're horrible. The only consolation is one of them came with dehydrated strawberries,
I bet that
You
was
know
actually
John
good.
Johnson.
which were good when they first came out.
You know
After about a
JJ.
year and a half of having those dehydrated strawberries in a warehouse somewhere, have you ever seen green strawberries?
I want to point out when you said JJ, Joe
Yeah.
started smiling.
Well,
What'd you do to JJ?
mm,
I love JJ. JJ is my favorite person.
JJ is a
Well, Bob's
unique
asleep
character.
today. Fuck this shit.
He during the snow of 83 and 93, we helped out a lot of folks. I had a Chevy Blazer at the time. Are we showing a remote for something?
Skunk
what?
nose.
Huh?
Skunk nose.
Oh,
JJ and remote.
I don't even want to.
Hey,
Let
the fun part about that, Joe Dog, is it doesn't have to be a remote. Remember, we did it to him with a calculator too, and a pack of smokes.
We turned around.
Yeah.
And we're helping all these folks out. And when the snow went away, John comes in the house with 2 cases of MREs that he got from the Red Cross. I'm going. And he brings those things in. I'm going to be ready for the next snow. I said, "Who are you fooling?" I said, "Next time that you ain't got no time, you're going to break into those things and you're going to eat one of them." "Oh, I ain't going to eat them. I'm going to leave them alone." I said, "Okay, I'll wait." About 3 weeks later, I come home and I go in his room, and there's 3 packets of MREs that are been ripped open and eaten. John can tell you one MRE is enough for one man
1,600 to 2,400 calories per meal.
per bag.
Per bag, yeah.
He went through 3 of them. And they give you a little chiclet, candy, gum.
Yep.
What's in that chiclet is
A laxative.
a laxative to push all that stuff on down the line.
A lot of
And I could have said something
preservative-
else, but I didn't.
A lot of the preservative that they use in it is carnauba wax. They basically bind this food stuff with car wax.
Well, John ate 3 of them, and he could have ate a full bar of Velveeta cheese, and it clogged him up worse than Hoover Dam.
My uncle.
And
I'm sorry.
and he laid there, oh, and I said, "I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it."
After Katrina, my relatives live in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans. After Katrina, my uncle got some MREs from the National Guard, was passing them out, and I had gone down a couple of weeks, was checking on him.
Just out of Lee,
Yeah.
What color were they? Just out of curiosity.
They were the dark brown. They were
Dark brown.
Because you can get 4 different kinds from FEMA. You can get the old crap, the brown ones. You can get the light brown ones, the tan colored ones. There is a yellow one that FEMA actually has. It's a civilian version of an MRE.
You got
And
these from Guard, not FEMA.
Okay. And totems, which what the National Guard puts out.
Don't forget the dehydrated water. Just add water.
Totems are the MRE light. It doesn't have quite as many calories as regular MRE.
Yeah. But anyway, so I get down there to check on him, and he points to this case of MREs. He says, "You want those?" And I lived through the blizzard of '93, so I said, "Yeah, I'll take them," because you never know when you're going to need some food. And he says, "Yeah," he says, "I just can't eat them anymore." He says, "You eat one of those, for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you're just full." And I'm like, "Uncle Louie, that's enough calories for a grown man for a whole day. You're supposed to eat."
Can be, yeah. Depends on how hard you're working, but yeah.
He was eating 3 MREs a day. He says, "I lasted about 3 days. I couldn't eat them anymore."
The military will only give you 2 a day unless it's an emergency. They give you 1 hot meal just to push the rest of that crap out.
Yeah.
We actually took apart one of our lifeboats from the 60s. No, 50s.
Lifeboat
Changed them
food?
out. Huh?
Lifeboat food?
It was packets inside of it for lifeboats. These lifeboats would float up after the ship sank. They had a saltwater switch.
Is that the big canister thing that they put on the side?
They
of the
look
ship?
like pills, little pill canisters. Well, this one was from the 50s. It had Lucky Strike cigarettes. It had Palmels. The cigarettes were
No
brown.
filters.
Oh,
Yep.
they were filtered, but they were so
yeah.
dry, you could light them and they'd go like flash paper.
Okay, we're going to have to start wrapping stuff up.
If you want to hear more on our MRE stories,
There's
tune
MRE
into
stories.
the Stupid After Show.
Stupid After Show. Those tuned in on the Stupid O'Clock page and our YouTube page. sort of
I had fun, guys.
follow me on Facebook, and you'll get a thing. John, James, I've already sent you a link for the after show.
I'm going to
Cut
bed.
on the after show.
Yeah,
I'm at 8 now, and I'm sitting here. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. My butt turns into a pumpkin right now.
all right. But
You're invited.
yeah. Thank you for being here, James. It was
It was fun, guys.
We really do have to get together in person one of these days because
Not a problem.
sounds like we had a lot of similar experiences.
Oh,
I'm here to tell you.
Just so y'all know, I know Joe's about to end the show, but I want to say this real quick. I drove past Golden Corral today. I could not believe the amount of cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. And nobody's wearing masks, and you're doing serve yourself. I'm like, no.
Do they still? I didn't go in, of course, but are they still doing the buffet?
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Still serve yourself buffet. The only difference is they're bringing you the plate. You don't grab your own plate. So.
Sounds like a lot of good tips for the waitresses.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
all right.
Pumpkin butt.
Good night.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.